Alright, so we're going to start practicing changing word problems to math inequalities. We've talked about translating word problems before, but these are going to be more in-depth, a little more detailed word problems. Alright, so there's 4 steps to turning word problems into and defining the answer. So first things first, you need to mark the important information in the problem. Then, second step is translate the information into symbols, making sure to define your variable. Step 3, solve the equation or inequality. And then last but not least, step 4, answer the question from the problem. So you don't want to leave it with x is greater than 4. You need to explain what that means. So your answer should be in a complete sentence. Alright, so there's some key words for inequalities. At least is going to mean greater than or equal to. And the symbol looks like this guy right here. Okay. No more than means less than or equal to. And that's the same symbol just flipped around. That line underneath is the or equal to. These two get mixed up more than anything else because you think at least and then you think less than because least and less. But if you think of it, if you ever get stuck, think of it in terms of money. If you had at least $20, that means you would have $20 or more than that. Okay? Then you've got more than, which is the same thing as greater than. And then there's no real different way for them to say less than other than just less than. So that means just less than. And those are the symbols for those two things. So let me show you a couple examples. So this example right here. Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. And he wants to have at least $200 in the account by the end of the summer. If he withdraws $25 a week for food, clothes, and say movie tickets, how many weeks can he withdraw money from his account? And you need to justify your answer. So the first thing is to identify the important information. Now if I weren't writing notes, I would go back through and just highlight here, but I wanted you to see it without all the marks. So the important information is going to be $500, the words at least with the $200, and then withdrawing or subtracting $25 every week. Okay. Step 2, you need to translate the information into symbols. So I went ahead and made sure to identify my variable is going to be W, and that's going to represent my number of weeks. Then I'm going to have $500 minus $25 per week is greater than or equal to $200. So step 3, solve the inequality. So 500 minus 25W is greater than or equal to 200. Get rid of my 500, divide by negative 25. Special note right here, when you divide by a negative number, you've got to remember to flip your sign. So instead of being greater than or equal to, W has got to be less than or equal to 12. So the last step's the most important one. You need to answer the question. Keith can withdraw $25 per week for 12 weeks. This totals $300. If he exceeds 12, then he will have less than $200 left. One more example. Yellow cab taxi charges a $1.75 flat rate in addition to 65 cents per mile. Katie has no more than, well, I wrote the dollar sign but not the amount. Katie has no more than $10 to spend on a ride. Okay, write an inequality that represents Katie's situation. And how many miles can she travel without exceeding her limit? Explain. So step 1, start at a $1.75 flat rate, okay, is where we're going to start. Addition was an important piece of information. 65 cents per mile is an important information. No more than, and then the $10. All of those are important pieces of that word problem. Step 2, going to identify my number of miles, and we're going to write the equation. This is part A that it's asking for. So, or not equation, excuse me, inequality. So x is going to be my number of miles. That's what it's asking for. How many miles? Okay. So we're going to start with our $1.75 flat rate. In addition to means add 65 cents per mile. So 0.65 every mile that we traveled. No more than, and then $10. Then we're going to solve it. We're going to subtract the 175 from each side. Divide by the 0.65, and by dividing by 0.65 I get x is less than or equal to 12.69. So last but not least, step 4, you need to explain. Katie can go no more than 12.69 miles or she will not be able to pay the taxi cab. Another way to justify the answer would be to plug in your 12.69 back into the problem where x is and show that that is what will keep you less than $10. All right, thank you very much.